price is not right, it's not right.
Richard Old Man Harrison was a fixture on Pawn Stars, but then he passed away. But what happened to him? From his health issues to his unexpected attitude toward his children, you guys will be shocked when you hear what Richard was really like. Pawn Stars is one of the most successful shows that have ever been on the History Channel for two main reasons. The first is all the interesting items that come through the door, things you've probably never seen in your life. But the second would be the fascinating people who run the shop, and none of them have ever been more interesting than the old man Richard Harrison was. Old man couldn't live forever, but he left behind a great business, a fascinating story, and a remarkable legacy. And in true Pawn Stars fashion, he also left a really surprising deal on the table when it came to his will. Richard Harrison passed away on June 25th, 2018, when he was 77 years old. Fans of the show learned the sad news thanks to a post on the Pawn Stars Instagram page. They posted a photo of Richard in his signature stylish look featuring a hat, sunglasses, and a stare that meant business. His son Rick, another star of the show, wrote that Richard passed away in the morning surrounded by the people he loved. Rick said that he'll be missed by his family, his co-workers, and fans around the world. But he also revealed some more intimate details about the passing later on his personal social media channels. Rick wrote that Richard didn't just pass from old age or natural causes. Sadly, he lost a long battle with Parkinson's. Parkinson's is a horrifically devastating progressive neurological disease. You only get worse and never get better. Not many people outside of Richard's inner circle were aware that he was even ill, although it makes sense now, in retrospect, why Richard wasn't featured in later seasons of the show. Many thought it was just because he was getting old and didn't want to come into the office, but the truth is he most likely was unable to hide his illness on camera. Chum Lee, another star of the show, had some words about the passing at the time as well. He said that everyone had unfortunately kind of been preparing for this inevitable outcome. Chum Lee said that he had spent a lot of time with Richard at his house the week before he passed. Everyone knew it could happen at any minute, and Chum Lee said that he was thankful he got to spend plenty of time in Richard's final hours, keeping him company, and making a few final memories together. Knowing that Richard passed away from Parkinson's makes a lot of sense regarding why he suddenly stopped coming to work. Because of his background, he had an incredible work ethic. Everyone knows that Richard was a hard worker who never shied away from a challenge, and a big part of that was his background in the Navy. Richard and his family would regularly reference the time that the old man served in the US Navy, but the average viewer might not realize just how long his career was, or how he wound up enlisting in the first place. As Rick tells it in his 2011 book, Licensed to Pawn, Richard got into some serious trouble when he was a teenager. At the age of 17, when the old man was still a young boy, Richard got caught for stealing a car. A judge in North Carolina gave Richard two choices. He could either enlist in the Navy or go to jail. That sounds like the kind of bargain offer you'd hear at a pawn shop. Richard wisely decided to enlist instead of serving hard time. After completing his training, he shipped out to serve tours on the Orlek and the Twining, both large destroyer ships. He completed his 4-year tour in 1962, but that wasn't the end of his time in the service by any stretch. Richard returned after just 2 years. His newborn daughter's health issues generated massive medical bills for the Harrison family, and he needed the money. Again, trading years of your life to the Navy to pay for medical bills sounds a lot like a Pawn Stars deal. It's not ideal, but a lot of people in a pawn shop making bargains are usually out of options. Richard served on the Fremont, an attack transportation ship, before transferring to a tactical air control squadron facility. He continued bouncing around, moving to the staff of ships like the Commander, Cruiser, and Destroyer Group Pacific. He even won himself promotions all the way up the ranks to first-class petty officer. He followed that with some time working on a salvage tug, as well as shore duty in San Diego. Richard finally retired from the Navy in 1979. He said in an interview with Navy Times that out of 20 years of service, he was deployed for approximately 10. That's an extremely impressive run and really speaks volumes about the kind of man he was. Richard said that the only thing that got him back to shore was the fact that he had 3 teenage boys and his wife couldn't handle all of them on her own. Thanks to the success of the shop, as well as the fact that Pawn Stars was a runaway hit on reality television, Richard left more for his family than just fuzzy memories. By all accounts, Richard passed away as a wealthy man with a lot of assets. He set up a will that named his wife Joanne and his 3 sons, Richard, Christopher, and Joseph, as his heirs and beneficiaries. Rick, his trusted partner and proprietor of the gold and silver pawn shop, was named the executor. But there was one aspect of Richard's will that was pretty shocking. According to legal papers, Richard filed an update in 2017 that cut someone out of the will entirely. Richard's 2017 update stipulated that his son Christopher, and only Christopher, would be left with nothing, and wouldn't even get a dime of his fortune. Richard at the time wrote that he wanted to express his love and affection for his son Christopher, but he added that for the purpose of the will, he'd intentionally and with full knowledge failed to provide for Christopher and his issue. He gave no additional information regarding the decision. While we'll likely never know the specifics surrounding the odd choice, it kind of adds up when you consider Richard's tough love approach to parenting. He was always gruff on camera, and it didn't appear to be an act. Both as a boss and as a parent, Richard was blunt, to the point, and never suffered any foolishness. According to Rick, a big part of that was his background in the Navy. Rick added that a big part of the reason his father remained in the Navy was because of Rick's epilepsy. Those medical bills can really add up, but Rick said that his dad didn't treat him any differently. One time, Rick recalled that he cursed at his dad when he was a teenager. Apparently, Richard punched him square in the face and said, "If you're old enough to talk like a man, you're old enough to get beat up like one." Rick laughs about it now, but he said that at the time, it really changed his perspective on life and made him realize just how much meaning words could have. And in retrospect, it was one of the best lessons the old man ever gave him. This kind of makes you wonder if maybe Richard cutting out Christopher was one last lesson for the road. Maybe Richard was trying to teach Christopher something from beyond the grave, and it could have possibly stemmed from some words Christopher might have used. He could have said something to the old man, and this was the consequence of those actions. A very different kind of punch to the face. Whatever their situation was, I just hope that Christopher and Richard were able to part on good terms when he passed, because it doesn't exactly sound like Christopher got a good deal. But anyway, what do you guys think? Was there something weird going on regarding Christopher being cut out of the will? Was the old man right to hit Rick when he cursed? Let me know in the comments below.